Hello, everyone. Welcome back on into part 2 here. Where do you guys want to start? We got Pee-wee. We could talk about the Jedi. What else can we do? Death Stranding. We can start there. We can start where we left off.
Oh, actually, before
I
I
had
begin,
a question about. Go ahead.
this,
What?
this
Go
just
it first.
in.
Okay.
Just in.
Breaking news.
Maximilian has rung in on what we've been talking about earlier. Turns out that he has a soft spot for Sam Show, but critically, Smash Ultimate for sure.
All right, there you go. Smash Brothers will take it. Thank you very much, Max. Reporter on the field out there in the FGC. Keeping it real. Or something.
I had a quick question about Death Stranding.
Okay.
What does changing the difficulty do to the game?
I don't think
Does
anything.
anyone know?
I believe it makes the combat portions a little bit more.
Oh, you mean like second to second? Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
I think it gives the. Well, it's kind of weird because a lot of the mechanics are like single shot and stuff like that. But yeah, I think you take a little bit more damage from stuff, and your vehicles may. I'm not sure, but I've heard it has to do with the combat portion.
Yeah, I think mods
So it's just combat. It's not like like weight distribution and like falling over and stuff.
No,
I don't think any
so.
of the traversal mechanics are affected. It may do some stuff with the BT sections.
Where did you get to last night, Zeke? What chapter? Because we'll be able to tell you how much you have.
I asked my chat last night, and they said around 7 hours.
Did you stop where you? Did you stop when I was in the channel at that part, around that part last night?
I'm on chapter 8.
Okay, you could finish it in like 6 or 7. Yeah, I'd agree with that. If you mainline the story, you could probably finish it a little bit faster, but
Oh, it does. It affects the balancing weight. Okay.
oh, I didn't. Okay.
Death Stranding is like the worst game to want to finish fast.
I finished it fast, and I didn't miss. I felt like I didn't miss anything.
Oh man,
go ahead.
The reason I say that is because it's just like, especially towards the end, there's like numerous times where it's like, okay, now do this thing that's going to take you a really long time. Like, and it's just like if you're in the mindset of I want to get to the end as fast as possible, it's like it's punishing a little bit.
Well, it will be punishing for Zeke. I will say that because I've seen how Zeke plays the game, and it will, without a doubt, Zeke be punishing for you. Since me and Co did things within that game, it was not punishing, and we were able to do things that take someone like Zeke. Not necessarily talking about who you are as a person, but I'm saying how you played that game. It will take you much longer. Like those parts will be exponentially longer.
But didn't you take more time to do the side stuff in order to make shit easier?
Yes.
Specifically constructing, absolutely.
Yeah, it has to do with like what you built and the path that you built. Yeah. It'll turn that part into. I think the particular part that we're talking about, Co did in like 25 minutes or 30. I did in like 40, and we both spent like multiple hours building stuff. If you were to just brute force it the way that you did, which is not saying it's a bad way to play the game or anything, it's going to take you probably an hour, if not an hour and a half.
I think I'm going to just, if I pick it up again, which it's feeling kind of like I want to, it's going to be changed to easy mode, and I'm just going to go from place to place to get all of the story elements, the main story elements.
Yeah. That will definitely help with the time. There's definitely some stuff towards the end where it's like spongy and it's like, fuck, this is not worth it. Yeah.
You have been through a couple of the sections where difficulty matters the most. If you follow me. Like,
yes.
So turning it down to easy will definitely make those a lot easier. Yeah. That. Good idea.
Yeah. So. Oh, we get to listen to Aaron talk to the dog now. Sorry about that. Oh, maybe the dog. Nope, dog's not coming in here. Anyways, yeah, I just play the game or watch the cutscenes because I'm dying to talk about the end. Here's what I will say after beating the game. I sat through the entire credits without saying a single word, and it was about 8 minutes or 9 minutes of credits. And I just didn't say a single thing. And leave it at that. Like, and it was not necessarily for a good reason. Me and Co have very conflicting, I think, thoughts on the end of that game. And we can't really say why without spoiling the whole thing, because it directly relates to how that game ends. And the message of that game and how it's delivered and all that stuff. So we'll talk about it when you finish it, Zeke. Whenever that is.
All right.
Doesn't have to be next week. But whenever it is, we'll devote a chunk of the show to
I have a feeling that we're probably going to be very similar to the reviews on the different sides that we're going to be on. Like I as much as I loved the ending, I know very good reasons why people would not feel the same way I do.
And
it'll be interesting to talk about.
I know very good reasons why people feel the exact opposite way of me. So like I can see both sides of it, but I know how I feel, and I think I understand how you feel about it. So we need Zeke, the great equalizer.
Well, I played I played for.
Zeke is just like, I don't even like this game. So
I played for a full cast yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I played for a full stream, 8 hours, and yeah, sure. The in between parts, the action, the actual game controlling parts took me a bit longer, but the story elements that were revealed in the game, I went through with I started in chapter 5 and I got to chapter 8. So 5, 6, 7, 8. It was just kind of like meh.
There's not much there. The full chunk of the game is chapter 9 plus.
Wasn't very interesting.
I honestly think if he released this game and chapter 9 plus was the game, it would have been a completely different thing. I mean, it is a completely different thing, but it would have been a whole nother conversation around the game for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
I'll talk about that in my thoughts video on it, actually.
Yeah.
About how like the pacing and deciding what goes where could have like completely changed the reception of the game, the enjoyment of the game for a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's anyway.
Yeah.
Later.
See, once you hit chapter like 9-ish, there's very little game left to play. And it's more that you just start watching.
Okay.
There's large chunks of things to watch.
I mean, come on, like it's so funny because when it started, like that's why I kept playing it, because it was interesting. And then I hit a big slow chunk where I was just like, I know what you want me to do. You're giving me information that I don't give a fuck about for the most part. You're giving me flavor text around like historical shit. And I'm just like, this has nothing to do with the story of this game. I mean, excuse me. It does have something to do with the story of this game, but it's so out of the core of what it is. Yeah, it's on the fringe of what I want to know about. I just stopped caring and it got boring and that kind of shit. It's just ugh. But I remember the first stream I did of it, and I was like, okay, I like it. It's weird. Okay, cool. And then it just got like a fucking history lesson. I'm just like, I like history sometimes, but nah, this is bad. This is boring.
I do kind of want you to play it because there's multiple times towards the end of the game where I almost just stopped playing. Knowing that I was close to the end and knowing that I was just, that's why I want you to play it, because watching it, you have to you just continue pressing play. But towards the end of the game, you might just stop. You might just fucking quit.
The funny thing is, someone in my chat said it pretty good. Zeke, it gets really good by season 5.
Yeah, that's an interesting way to talk about it.
Just go. It's like when I try and sell the next generation of people, someone who's never seen, it's like, make it through the first season, and most of the second, and then it starts getting really good.
It's kind of like that.
Not a ringing endorsement, but
which is another way of just saying season 1 and season 2 are bad. Season 3 is good.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about Death Stranding in that way, fuck.
Yeah,
we'll talk about it when you finish it.
seasons, like if we're talking about seasons like chapters, seasons 1 through 4, pretty good. 5, 6, 7, 8, they kind of go off on a tangent, like on a side thing that you don't really care about, but 9 picks back up again. What it sounds like.
There's so many things that I want to say, but it's like last week. I'm not going to say
right.
you haven't
We can
seen
stop
anything.
talking about it.
Well,
I'm going to try and finish it after the show today, and I'm going to put it on easy, and I'm going to because I'm on chapter 8. So if it starts really ramping up at 9, then
you have a long stream left. In an 8-hour stream, you'll finish it. You'll be done. Without a doubt. No question.
I'm putting my foot down. No more Death Stranding talk. Let's go.
Yeah, just play it for 8 hours.
Go.
You'll finish it.
Yeah.
And it's not like Persona, Zeke, where it just feels like it never ends. It'll end. Just play it for 8 hours. That's it. I'm done.
I just don't want to play it on stream. I should, though.
You should. It's worth the reactions. You're going to have, trust me, Zeke, you're going to have some reactions. Good or bad. Let's talk about a game that came out that I think we're all going to be pretty excited to talk about and pretty hyped to recommend. It's that old Star Wars game. You guys, I think, finished it before me. Because I guess issues is the word I would use. We'll talk about the difficulty stuff later because I am curious to hear your thoughts on it. But let's talk about just the game in general. Let's talk about Star Wars Fallen Order. I think we're all pretty this game's fucking great. This game's fantastic across the board. And it's interesting because I think me and Zeke both approached the game as pretty big Star Wars fans. And Ko's never seen what? How many movies have you seen?
I have not seen any Star Wars movies out after episode 1.
If we're talking levels, JP, you're 2 levels above me. I'm
sure
surface level, maybe a step above surface level love of Star Wars, but I have never watched the Clone Wars or anything like that.
Sure, yeah. No, for me it was the type of thing where I'm walking around, and let me we'll show some footage of the game. Also, we're going to be very clear. We're not going to talk about spoilers. I'm going to try to find footage basically from the beginning of the game, because it is arguably a story-focused game with kind of combat secondary. But that could be, again, that's arguable. But be careful about spoilers of this game. If you are a Star Wars fan, the bigger moments in this game are unbelievably impactful, and unbelievably cool. And even if you're not a Star Wars fan, I think once you kind of learned what some of that stuff was, it was like, oh shit, that's
funny enough,
cool.
I think that there's a good chance that this game may finally have kicked me to the point where I'm going to watch the movies. So it's like a reverse for me, where most people would watch the movies and they'd be like, sure, I'll try the game. For me, it's there was enough interesting and cool stuff in the game that I kept having to ask chat about because I simply didn't know basic Star Wars trivia.
Sure.
That I was kind of you know what? Especially now that I know Respawn is making games this good, especially considering that I want to start playing all the games in the future of this, I think I need to watch the movies so I can enjoy the game more.
Having the backstory.
So I'm not just constantly asking questions to chat. Who is this guy? Wait, that's not a stormtrooper. That's a clone trooper? How's that different from a stormtrooper? Who's this guy? Why does he sound like that? All this stuff. And I know snippets of lore, the fact that Boba Fett's dad was the base of the clone troopers and they're a lot better than stormtroopers. I know the little bits, but I don't actually know the lore.
Sure.
So I truly feel even though I loved it and it was great, and we'll talk about this more as we move forward, I feel like it would have been a little bit better if I had been more understanding of the world.
Yeah. I think I said, it's going to happen, Zeke. Sorry.
No, I just hated that I fucking I was targeting the frog and I couldn't cut its tongue off because I was targeting the fucking
We'll get
frog.
to the combat stuff. It's a thing in the game. Yeah, I think I said something on the cast where it's if you're a Star Wars fan, this is great. If you're a Dark Souls fan, this is okay. And if you like story-based games, this is pretty good. That's my final thoughts on the game.
It takes a lot of the good elements, and I would say even less so Dark Souls and more Sekiro, as far as the gameplay is concerned, because of the blocking and the parrying and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But it takes elements of Star Wars, Sekiro, Dark Souls. Uncharted is another one that is huge,
platforming
in the game with all the not only platforming, the climbing, but also the tomb exploration.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
like
true.
that kind of element to it. Yeah.
Yeah, and the puzzles as well. Like, I will say that I feel like the game does like it's very light on all the stuff you just mentioned, and it only goes like surface level on all the stuff you just mentioned. Like, the combat system is baby's first Dark Souls, and I don't say that in a bad way. Like, it's not deep at all. I feel, almost to the extent that I feel like, and this is where we can jump to and I think an actual conversation will occur because I think you guys think differently. I feel like difficulty in this game is bad, and it immediately takes away the idea of being like what I play this game to have what's the sense, like the power fantasy. And the second that you start fighting mobs with this much HP in the beginning of the game, it's not there for me. Like, I felt like I was a fucking shit stain of the universe walking around with like a paper lightsaber fighting gods. And I played the game on the hardest difficulty up until the final 5 hours, and I eventually just turned it down because I was not having fun with it. So much so that I quit the stream completely on Monday after a very bad bug where I lost 3 levels of XP after defeating a boss because I jumped on a thing. Like, I jumped and died to gravity, and when you die to gravity, you respawn, and it kept respawning me out of bounds, and so I couldn't go collect the points, and I just lost it all. And I was like, I'm done. I'm not gonna play anymore today. And so that kind of ruined it for me. But yeah, I'm curious what because you guys both you played the game on the hardest difficulty and finished the game on the hardest difficulty, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No problems whatsoever?
I wouldn't say that.
Yeah, okay. I mean, it was hard, right?
No, I would say there is... People are going to assume that what I'm saying next is because I'm bad or I don't have the skills or whatever.
Sure.
But I would preface what I'm about to say with the fact that I played through all of the Dark Souls games. I played Sekiro. I played all those kind of games. So I know what this combat is supposed to feel like. There are some fights, specifically with some bosses, that feel imprecise. It feels like either inputs are not being read properly. The blocks don't seem to be right. Like, they seem like I would die and I'd be like, God damn, man. It doesn't feel like I missed that block. Like, I know from playing these games that sometimes I'll miss a block and go, oh, I fucked up. I didn't block.
Yeah.
But there's sometimes in the game where I was like, I know I blocked there because I've done it before. And I know I've done that, stuff like that. But it's with certain fights that happens. So I'm guessing it's the enemy's move set with the collision is not like reading or something.
Yeah.
Because in one, like my favorite fight, it was just like a fucking battle. And it was awesome because I was like, tang, tang. And every time I died, I was like, oh, fuck, I forgot that move or I didn't press it in time. It felt crisp and clean.
Mm-hmm.
But the very next fight, I was just like, I know I blocked that. I fucking felt like I blocked that. What the fuck? It worked every other time besides now. And that kind of thing. So there's definitely some issues with that. Makes it a little frustrating. But it didn't get to the point where I wanted to rage quit.
Yeah. I think for me, the game, the combat starts to break the second that there's more than 2 to 3 mobs on the screen. And it just starts to like become not fun to play the second that happens.
That would have infuriated me.
This type of one-on-one stuff, it wasn't the bad parts of the game. It was, fighting 4 normal stormtroopers with 3 people shooting you or some shit. And it was just, I was pissed. I was so frustrated.
I relished those parts because I saw the tree to the left, the force tree, and I saved up points, like knowing like story-wise, progression-wise, those would unlock. So I was ready. I had like 3-4 points, bang.
Yeah.
By the time those opened up, so I was like, doop, 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 doop. And then I was just like, room full of enemies. Where's the pit? There it is. Come here. Boom, dead. All of them.
Sure. And I will definitely attest, like, I did not use the like force push and pull shit to the best of my ability, without a doubt. But
I looked for the wizard. I looked for the magic user. Like,
oh yeah.
RPG tree. And I was like, that's the magic user. That's me.
Yeah, and I
But
definitely
then again, it can backfire like it did in Bloodborne.
I definitely saw yeah. I definitely saw a lot of people saying that like the hardest difficulty is basically utilizing force push and pull to the best of your ability. Otherwise it's not a fun time. And that might have been why I just decided to turn it off ultimately. But as soon as I turned it off, I will say, and maybe because the last 5 hours of that game is so much better than what is already a good start to that game, just like story reasons. I definitely had a billion times more fun, feeling like I was actually a powerful fucking Jedi beating people's ass with my lightsaber instead of like fighting a giant mob with a billion fucking HP and it's a stormtrooper. I would get upset when a stormtrooper would kill me of all things. And I was like, fucking, this guy sucks. He's fucking saying some shitty line and talking about how I die. That type of stuff.
There was, like, without giving any like super spoilers away, there was one fight where a little like probe droid killed me like 4 times in a row. And
Yeah.
I was just like, you motherfucker! How is that even fucking possible?
Yeah. I think most of the biggest things that I had issue with, like mob wise, were the little spiders and the big spiders. I just hated fighting those guys. They were not fun to fight. I didn't like them at all. But then anything on, and this is a somewhat spoiler because it's a planet that you go to. The entirety of Dathomir can suck my fucking dick. I hate that planet so much. It is just a bad planet to be on. I hated every aspect of it, and it's honestly what I don't know the not the final boss on that planet, but the second to final boss. That's the XP that I lost. If you know what I'm talking about. I don't know if that's clear enough, but yeah, I lost all that XP. So yeah, anyways, Ko, you've got a smug look on your face, so I'm waiting for the stupid comment. So bring it on.
Oh man, earning that.
I've seen you bottling it up. So go ahead.
Yeah, I wasn't aware you were so bad at games. Like, when did that happen? How does it feel to no longer like be good at them?
I don't know.
Is it like a palpable? Did you feel when it occurred was like a sting, or how did that? No, I'm totally kidding at this point. No, the only reason I wasn't saying anything was because like I was listening to you guys because I had a very different experience. I was actually really surprised I heard that. Like, it was hard, but I felt like it was like Sekiro hard, or I certainly didn't have any more trouble in this game than other games. But I think a big part of that was because I died over 100
Well,
times.
I do want to be
because
clear.
I was like really good at it.
I do
Like,
want to be clear. It's not that I was having trouble. It's that I was not having fun. It's very different.
Yeah, which is a different thing for sure.
Yeah, Sekiro is a game designed to be hard. This is a game designed to play a Jedi and walk around the universe.
Yeah. Well, a couple things. So I thought I heard a couple things during you guys talking that I wanted to address. First of all, I completely agree that the combat is kind of shallow. In fact, I feel the entire game is kind of shallow. Not just the combat, but there's like most of the mechanics in the game are pretty basic. There's almost no progression to speak of at all. Even the skill tree is basically just straight lines with a few addendums on each side. There's no inventory or items to speak of. Every single piece of loot in the game is cosmetic. Like, there's lots of parts of the game that I just felt were just not very well fleshed out.
Yeah,
kind of like empty and vacuous. And like at the beginning of the game,
yeah,
I was really
excited. Treasure box. Oh, it goes on my lightsaber. That's 90% of the time. Well, first of all, it's that big on the screen, and 90% of the time, it's covered by my poncho.
Yep, and it doesn't even do anything. Like, it doesn't matter what emitter, it doesn't matter what grip. None of it means anything. So like that was really disappointing. When I first got to the lightsaber customization, immediately I was like, oh my god, we're gonna get to customize all these parts. I bet it's gonna completely change how it plays. Like all this stuff. And then as I'm flipping through it, I'm looking over in chat and I'm like, where does it say like what these pieces do? Like, why is this emitter better than that one? Does it do more damage or something? And chat's like, no, it's all just cosmetic. And I was like, what? Like, what do you mean it's just cosmetic?
Yeah, that
like,
bummed me out.
Now, here's the thing. Before I continue, it's important to mention, this is what I wanted from the game. So there's two different schools here of looking at this. There's like what I wish the game was and what the game was. And this is another thing that I kind of go into detail in my thoughts video. Like, for what the game was, I enjoyed it. I had a great time. I feel like the lightsaber combat is some of the best that I've ever played in any Star Wars game, and I love that stuff. I also felt like even though the combat was basic, the way that combat was done was really pretty incredible. The connecting animations, the style where two lightsabers would clash and how both the models would like perfectly recoil, the ways that the combat kind of flowed, the variants that you could do while still making it look like an actual fight. Like I sometimes had more fun watching my fights than playing. And I
Sure.
said that multiple times during the stream. Just like, dude, this looks awesome. Like this is badass. Like those times you're fighting a boss and you get like 3 parries in a row and the camera's like slowly rotating around you and slowing down at different times. And then you knock them
wait.
out and everything.
Three parries in a row. That's a thing that can happen.
In fact, almost all enemies have a thing where if you parry them enough times, you can execute them.
Well,
I'm just
Anyway,
kidding.
here's the thing.
I'm just bad at parrying.
In terms of the difficulty, I did something off the beaten path that I think at the beginning of the game kind of prefaced it for me. So what I did is I played on the hardest difficulty, and I went to Dathomir first. So that right after the first planet, I went to Dathomir and spent 50 deaths clearing everything I could out of that with my rank 1 healing. Like,
trust me, your
every single
acolytes
mob
filled me in on that
one-shotting
immediately.
to 2/4 of my life, like instantly. Like there's this one part where you're at a circle at the bottom and there's a melee enemy and 2 guys shooting down at you. And I literally spent an hour there because the enemies would shoot me at the same time and it would just instantly kill me. So like it was really rough. It was really rough. And you know, again, I died like 40 times in a couple hours. But I did get the double-bladed lightsaber early, and I learned how to use it early. And if you
Yeah, I got that late.
understand that stuff, like how it functions properly, like the hue, and this is not really spoilers because I want to
Yeah, not really.
kind of let people know this little tiny spoiler. But here's the thing: a lot of folks don't understand that the double-bladed and single-bladed lightsabers are not just looks. The single-bladed is superior for single target, and the double-bladed is the AOE. But here's where it gets weird: if you deflect a shot with the double-bladed lightsaber and hold it down, every subsequent shot gets reflected right back to the person who shot it. So anytime you walk into a room with stormtroopers, you flip it to double-bladed, you perfect block the first shot, and that room's cleared. And that happens every time. So I saw actually in your stream a couple times, JP, where you were having really serious trouble with stormtroopers, and if I had tried to do that, I probably would have raged too. Like it's near impossible.
I
if you
used
don't
the
do that.
double-bladed
Like,
lightsaber once, and I never touched it again because I was like, "This is not fun. This is dog shit." And I think the biggest thing is because there's no like stagger on the mobs.
Yes,
and so
that's
like
also extremely frustrating.
Yeah,
this
like
guy right here
can,
probably killed me 50 times.
Yeah, like you can hit them as many times as you want, and for the most part, they're still gonna like fulfill their animation and do damage. And so that's why I was like, I'm never fucking using this double-sided bullshit again.
Yeah.
So,
but
well,
so getting that at the beginning of the game.
This is the thing I love about this game is that like you guys are talking about all this stuff like deflecting shots and that kind of shit. Whenever I saw somebody with a blaster, my first instinct was like, "Come here, go there."
Sure, yeah.
Well, and that's the next thing I was going to say is, if you just approach this game as I have a lightsaber and that's how I'm going to kill everything, that is an increase in difficulty on its own, because the game gives you a toolbox of tools to deal with different situations. Be it push the rocket back at the guy firing it, or use your double-bladed to deflect to kill every ranged mob on the field instantly. And it's like if you utilize all those tools, the difficulty falls substantially. But if you try to kind of brute force just using your lightsaber, you are literally playing on a higher difficulty. Especially towards the end, like when I really started utilizing force push, there was one scene in particular where I would die and I'd have to work through it again. And it took me like a solid 15 minutes of like slowly, methodically working through it. And then later in the game, once I got the souped up pushes and stuff, I go back to that area and I'm literally just running through like, woo, you go off that side. Woo, you go off that side. And I'm just like jogging through it like at a brisk pace, you know, just pushing and pulling people all over the place and just knocking them off.
My experience with that is I start to force pull and I'd get shot and it would cancel the animation on my end. And so I just stopped doing it. I stopped caring about trying to force pull shit because I couldn't complete the animation.
Yeah,
And
and see, that's the thing. Like what you just said, the whole reason I never used any force powers if there were ranged people around. If there were ranged people around, first thing double bladed lightsaber, kill every single range unit, and then deal with everyone else. And every single encounter I did, I used that on. And it there were times when like at one point I'd zoom out and there'd be literally like 9 stormtroopers in front of me. Whip out the double bladed, get the first perfect parry on the first shot, and they all just like fall over like dominoes. Just fall over.
Now, did
So
chat tell you to do that, or did the game tell you to do that?
well, when I first got the double bladed lightsaber, because I was one of the first people to stream the game because I got it early. So early. But so I was playing with it and I couldn't get it to work. So the first time I was using the double bladed thing, I thought you had to press it a bunch. So I was sitting there like trying these different things, trying to get it to work properly. It kind of worked a little bit, but then I put it away. And then later, when I got to one of those nasty sections, I like almost accidentally held the button down, and I was like, that hit both of them. Like, and at that point I was like, okay, so hold on. So the trick, and then I started experimenting with it a little bit. And again, the trick is you have to block the first shot and then hold it down. And only if other shots are in the air, they will all reflect back perfectly. So yeah, the Jedi, the hardest difficulty makes it so ranged units can pretty much kill you on their own if you let a shot or two get through.
Yeah.
So it gets really, really hard. And then a couple bosses doing that mechanic, like especially, man, when Zeke said that probe.
I mean, we can go to, let's talk about it. I put spoiler stuff. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the boss fights in the game in particular. So
Okay.
Yeah.
if you want spoilers, wait till spoiler Bob's gone.
The probe boss, I'm not going to say where it was, but a boss summons a probe during the fight. And I think that probe stole 2 wins from me. Like legit, like just popped up and stole 2 wins. Because like it gets to the point where if you don't deal with it immediately, kind of like stormtroopers with the range stuff, if you don't deal with it, it becomes essentially untenable. Because then you have the boss giving unblockable attacks at you, while at the same time this droid is shooting at you. So it's like you're going to get hit by one of them if you don't deal with it.
Which boss was that?
Yeah, the very last boss.
The second sister.
Oh, see, I never even on. I think it was 2 difficulties down, whatever that. Well, I don't know the name of it. I never even saw those droids.
Yeah, dude. On the
so I
hardest
might have finished it faster.
At one point during the fight, and actually it happens multiple times during the fight, she just summons a droid. Like you'll just notice that all of a sudden there's a droid floating around, and it becomes really difficult because like the droid starts out of your range, and even if you pull it in, she just immediately kills it if you hack it. So it's like it just becomes this huge like nasty thing that you have to deal with during an already very difficult fight. So yeah, it was tough.
Yeah,
anyway, going back to the beginning.
Yeah.
It's just this one little blaster shot. You're just sitting there like, God damn it, fuck you, fucking and then you're dead.
Yep. Oh, another enemy that made me rage like no other was flamethrower enemies, because there was like nothing you could do against them. Like you
those didn't bother me. Yeah,
you couldn't parry. So it's like that's one of those toolbox things. Like the first couple times, I just straight died to them because like I couldn't close the gap fast enough before they could basically stagger me with their flamethrower. So then I was started being like, okay, what can I use to deal with this? Answer turned out being slow. They're completely susceptible to slow, and I really didn't use slow too much throughout the game, so it didn't like immediately occur to me to use it. But that's like the counter to flamethrowers, is because it even slows down the flame coming out of their gun, which is seems like it's speeding at times.
I didn't have any problems with anything in the game up until I got to Dathomir, and right after you kill the like bat creature guy, the fights after that where you're fighting like 4 to 5 bow guys and like 3 of the mace guys on the ground. There's one fight in particular, and it was right after I had that like 3 XP skill point loss, where I was already like, beyond raged. I got to that fight. I was like, I'm done for the day. And so then I decided I want to finish this. I want to see the end of the story. I don't want to struggle bust my way through it. So I just put on lower difficulty and had probably more fun than I had had up until that point in any of the fights. But I wasn't fighting. And are we done with spoilers? Because I think I want to say something else, but I kind of want it to go out to everyone. Zeke, I'm done. Okay. All right. I'm going to take spoiler.
I just want to say real quick that end cameo.
Yes. Made the whole game. Made the whole game.
All right.
Yeah. Made the game worth playing. 20 hours well spent after seeing that. Yeah. Without a doubt. Now I forgot what I was gonna say.
Yeah, the ending cameo was amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Goosebumps.
Yes.
Goosebumps. The whole dude, honestly, the entire ending segment for me was
The
like
spoiler bot is down though.
Yeah,
Just so you
I
know.
just took it down. I'll put it back up if you want. Go ahead, spoilers
the
back.
entire ending segment for me was fantastic. Like I loved it. Like that dude for me, for the little bit of experience I have with the Star Wars stuff, like that rivaled most of the movies I had seen. Like just all the pacing, all the action, the reveals. Like I was just smiling for like the last 20 minutes of the game. Just a giant smile on my face. It was really, really cool.
For me, the biggest thing, and I'm curious if you picked up on it at all, Coke, and I'm sure Zeke did, but for me, like the end cameo was great, but the like chill-inducing moment is when because the storytelling I think in the back half of the game is done so well in terms of like transitions to going to like the Jedi Academy and like training and stuff like that, and it's when you're talking to your master, to Jaro, and the stormtrooper is behind him, and on the little like holo pad it says execute Order 66, and like. Did you know what that meant when you heard that,
Yes.
Co? Okay. All right.
Earlier in the game, I had gone to an optional area early, and I'd gotten some information on that, and me and chat had a little talk about what Order 66
Gotcha.
was and how that all happened. So when that scene happened, I was like, oh, it's that thing.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. Like, this is the moment. This is it.
Because like
So,
that,
yeah,
that thing was
that helped me out.
that was the best moment of the entire game, I think, for me. I don't know if that was the same for you, Zeke, but it would like to hear Darth Solidus, whatever the Emperor at the time, like say that shit and have it be in the game was like, fuck yeah, dude. Like I know exactly what's about to happen.
Well, I love the idle chatter. The
Yeah.
idle chatter of the stormtroopers. Sometimes you were just like, oh fuck. I know
Yeah.
what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, great.
It's so good.
Yeah.
I gotta say though, for me, JP, well, just real quick while the
Or
spoiler
Sidious,
thing is
not
up,
Solidus.
for me, it was definitely the press it down while little brobot's on the guy's shoulder. I remember looking at that scene and be like, no.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I loved BD1, by the way. Like I thought they did such a great job personifying
I'm gonna take
him.
spoiler bot
Like,
off. I was just gonna say that. But yeah.
oh my god.
All the side characters in this game were phenomenal. Like what was the Grease? That was his name, right? The captain?
Yeah, Grease.
Grease nuts.
Dude, he was
Call them
so
that
good.
throughout the entire
The
game.
scene where he's sitting there with the salt and just pouring it on
Yeah.
his food for like the entire scene, just like go back. It was so fucking well done. Yeah,
Grease
I thought
was great.
all the characters were great.
The woman Jedi you travel with was great. Like everyone was great. Or even like spoilers. Even the person you meet later in the game.
I mean, which
kind of-
one? They're all good. Yeah.
the one that kind of joins you later.
Dude, she was
awesome. I loved her.
In my opinion, she was the best like acted character because she told so much with just her eyes. Like every time she spoke, you could tell exactly what she was saying because of her fucking eyes. It was so well done. That was
Also,
like
she had such a great sense of humor. I
Yes.
love that. She had like a defined sense of humor, which
Yeah.
was really fun.
She was
That kept
fantastic.
kind of repeating. So
Yeah.
yeah.
all
Anyway,
that
like
stuff was well done.
so, like going back to kind of sum up stuff. Like I had a phenomenal time in this game for what it was. It was excellent. Using the tricks and everything, I really enjoyed the difficulty, but I completely see where you're coming from. The way that you played too. Like I feel like I probably would have gotten angry in that situation as well. That being said, though, like overall, as the next Star Wars game, I definitely left it feeling like I wish it had been deeper. Like
On all
the
accounts,
Star Wars
yeah.
universe is so well developed. It's got so many cool things they can hook into. And even though I loved what was there, and like people love to tell me this isn't an RPG, it's an action game. Like I still think that they could have gone further with a lot of the mechanics, and I think that it would have made a great experience, like a game of the year level experience, if they would have chosen to do that.
Yeah. You start to kind of put
yeah.
on your tinfoil hat and think like, did they have to rush this game out before the movie?
I mean, there's lots of little things you could do onto like that. Like EA was involved in this.
Sure.
You know, maybe they want to do more stuff with DLCs, and we're told not to take things too far. Like there's lots of tinfoil stuff you can come up with.
It's Disney.
to
They have to
explain the way that
be.
it is.
They have to be not only safe, but they have to be safe according to the canon of Star Wars. They can't
That's
like
true as well.
push
Yeah.
anything.
And I think also
But like,
too,
one of the things that I wondered is like, cool, it's really great that I'm getting all these different skins, but why am I not getting new clothes? Like,
Right.
why am I not getting a jacket? Why is it always this goddamn poncho? Like,
I
what
hated the poncho.
hell?
And the
Like, by the
poncho
end of
is
the game,
fine. Just give me more color. I complain about this through the entire game. It's like, here's a new poncho. Yeah, it's brown. How about green? How about a darker shade of brown? How about more burlap? Like,
tell me
there
this,
was
though,
one
tell me this.
pink poncho in the game, and I was like, thank you.
Was the dark tan, light tan, mid tan, slight medium tan, or cyan style tan? Which tan was your favorite?
I kind of like the UPS brown,
That was a good one.
but
Now, did you
I
like
mean,
the
but
brown one, the light
seriously.
brown one, the darker brown one, or the darkest brown one? Because
You guys are
Arrow.
forgetting
But
the
yeah, no,
arrows.
that's the
There's so
exact
many
point.
arrows
Like-
pointing down on that.
but it's like, dude, they could have had so much cool cosmetics in this game of all this stuff in the Star Wars universe that this dude could have been wearing.
Yeah.
It's like, why are you just giving me skins for a goddamn poncho? Like,
That-
that drove me crazy.
The,
And
second.
even
The spoiler
anyway.
thing, the one time where he does change his look, I was immediately like, God, he looks so much better. Like, just give me this outfit.
Yes.
Just give me this outfit. He looks
Yes.
so much better in this fucking outfit.
well, what's cool is like I did a lot of side content just because I wanted to. It's also really nice, by the way. Even though the loot didn't lead me to the side content, which most of the time in games like this, that's why 100% is getting all the loot and stuff.
Mhm.
The optional areas in this game were really, really cool. Like at one point, there is an entire. Oh, we got the spoiler thing up.
Spoilers up, yeah.
There's an entire crashed rebel ship that
Mm.
you don't need to go to. And you can freaking like sneak in through the engine. And it's like this epic interior. You have to go up like 3 times and a bunch of different fights. And it's like, you can just completely skip that if you want to. But if you do
did.
go in there, you get lore. You get to go in like the scale version of an actual inside of a Star Wars ship. Like I was just running through there like going, this is awesome. Like this is freaking cool. Like I was just loving being there. Like that side content was really kind of fun. It didn't feel like I was just ticking boxes for an achievement. You know, like I actually enjoyed exploring these locations. That was pretty great. But yeah, by the end of the game, dude, I just ripped the poncho off. I found a black clothes. It was just to make all your underclothes black.
Huh.
And I flicked my poncho off, and dude, he looked great. In fact, in cutscenes, it was like 9 of 10. Like he looked fantastic in cutscenes because he had like a vest on with like pockets, and he looked like a special agent kind of thing. But yeah, if it wasn't for that, like I would have ended the game in a pink poncho, probably.
Well, okay. Is it just the reason why you couldn't like? Because if it were me, I like cosmetically. If it was just cosmetic, I would throw in like rebel fighter pilot, like the orange with the helmet. I'd throw in like
There was a
Ice
Rebel
Planet
fighter.
Hoth outfits. Like I throw in all the outfits.
Oh, you're
Just-
saying like
if
a
they're
full
just
outfit.
cosmetic, why is this like even minor stuff like that thrown in?
Couldn't agree
Like,
more, man.
It would make it
Couldn't agree
it
more.
would make me want to actually go to treasure chest, and then because like 50% through the game I was like, why do I even bother trying
Exactly.
to find
Yeah.
Like, dude, imagine how cool it would be if you like, you know, did some hard thing, went back to a planet you didn't need to, found a pool of water in the back. Now you can swim down. You swim down, you find a chest at the very end of the tunnel, and it gives you some badass helmet. You know, like that alone would have been like, oh shit. Or you get some cool gloves or some badass bracer with a bunch of electronics on it. Like
Yeah.
I really hope with as many people that have been vocal about the fact that the skins were pretty lame, I really hope Respawn is going, give us time for the next one. Like, okay, message received. Like, next time it'll be better. Because that's honestly one
Yeah.
of the biggest complaints I've seen about the game is it's like people just felt no need to get loot. Like boxes didn't even give you experience or anything. It was just like random color skins. It was like getting
Yeah.
logging in for seasons in Apex or something. Just not. There was no carrot on the stick there.
I do wonder
So,
if like the outfit stuff, you guys kind of mentioned it, but if it was really like the idea that everything in this game is canon and so it has to fit the lore canonically, so you can't give this guy like fucking whoever name I don't want to name any bad guys without spoiling shit, but giving him that helmet or something. Like, why would he have this helmet? Like, what's the lore reason? If he has this helmet, it breaks canonically the whole like I wonder how much that came into play, and if Disney was just like, you cannot do anything that breaks this.
Well, and another very obvious reason is by doing this, they've essentially only needed to make 2 models for the entire game for the main character. Like there's no difference. You either have poncho on or poncho off, and everything else is just a map that wraps around it. So in terms of like production time, oh, this is the area I was talking about, by the way. Oh my God.
Yeah, this area is the first one that I struggled on for sure.
Ooh, yeah, I don't think this is the first time I was here, but yeah, I had such a hard time here. But yeah, if you think about it, like with the way that they did the skins, basically made it to get the animation set down, poncho on, poncho off, and that's it. Like they're done with the main character. So
Yeah,
and it kind of makes sense, you know, they don't want helmets that could mess up animations and cutscenes. You know, maybe it's gonna like flip through, and so yeah, we'll see.
Someone brought up the point that the treasure chest, like they do give you cosmetic stuff, but they also give you experience. That never was an issue. It never like I never went out of my way to like grind XP. The progression was fine. I felt like I was leveling as I was supposed to, or it didn't feel like I was lagging behind on leveling just from doing enemies. So the XP reward for finding the chest was not enough to like motivate me.
I will say I definitely did feel like I was missing out on XP towards the end. Might have been because I literally lost 3 points, but I didn't have any of the upgraded pulls or pushes, the like group stuff that you can get. And I think that might have been an issue in terms of like dealing with a lot of the mobs towards the end, where you're fighting like 5+. Like there's also some points where I think the game could have used some variation in terms of what you were fighting ultimately, because you fight stormtroopers the entire game, like and variations of stormtroopers with kind of a different skin. But then again, I wonder if they did run into the issues of, you know, Disney and the corporate overlords being like, look, we made you create one race for this game. You can't do any more. You can't just make shit up because, hey, we've got a lore.
Which one did they create?
The Zaffo or whatever. Weren't they made for this game? Yeah.
Zaffo.
Okay. Yeah, I had never heard them referenced before, I don't think. And they made up, I mean, a couple of other things, like different characters and shit like that, obviously.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong here, when I was asking about actually, spoiler. Never mind.
Okay.
Don't worry about it.
But
Don't worry about it.
Character variation.
There were a few things in here I think that they took liberties with, as some of the Star Wars people in my chat were talking about, particularly like some of, just not to spoil too much, the main Force stuff on this planet. Like apparently that was something that was pretty unexplored in previous lore. Because I remember seeing that and being like, what the hell is this in my Star? Like, what is this? Like, I didn't remember anyone doing this stuff in Star Wars.
A lot of that stuff was in Clone Wars, though, if I recall.
Yeah?
So
was it? Okay.
Some of it, maybe not to the extent that it was in this game, but yeah. Like this planet heavily is featured in Clone Wars because of the person that comes from this planet in the movies. Like,
but also to talk about what Zeke did, like I almost always had more points than I had to deal with until I got to like towards the end of the progressions, like where you would jump and unlock more. Like, but before I unlocked the first next set, I think I had like 2 or 3 points I couldn't even spend.
Really?
Yeah. Granted, I think it was because I made my way through this planet first. So like I did a bunch of stuff I didn't need to do at that stage in the game. But I think that gave me like a little bit of a bump that just kind of like rode throughout the whole game at that point, because I very rarely did there were certainly towards the end when points started being like 2 and 3 for every skill, it got a little bit different. But by the end of the game, I had everything. And I certainly could have grinded more. So the progression seemed pretty good.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. The Wookiees look terrible. They look like Ollie.
Yeah, they did.
They're fucking awful looking.
Like Jedi Knight level.
It looked bad. The fur and it was weird too, because like the hair looked good on all the other characters.
Where's my NVIDIA hair work? Hair works for this stuff, man. It would have been beautiful, like flowing hair on all the.
It wasn't even that the hair looked. I mean, the hair did look bad, but it was also they looked like, and maybe it's because they were slaves, but they just looked so skinny. Like it looked like they were just putting hair on like skeletons. Like there's no meat to them.
Animations also were a little bit weird. They seemed they almost seemed unfinished in some ways. Like you could so easily the hair and fur on them was like just matte. So a lot of times you could just see like the hard edges. Like if you were to move around them from like where 2 of the things connected, it was very weird, especially with how prominently they were featured in like a large part of the game and the E3 trailers.
Yeah.
To have them not look great was a little bit strange. Which is weird because the rest of the game was beautiful. Like, oh my God, the rest of the game was gorgeous. Like when you were on the ship and they were talking to each other and stuff, and the Grease dude, like running at 60 frames and everything
Looked
just
great.
looking beautiful. Like I was floored by some of that stuff. It really looked great.
Yeah. What were we gonna say, Zeke?
The clip, I had a lot of fun with the clipping in this game. Like, as far as like, I could, when I was talking to Grease or, I can't remember her name, big eyes.
Sir,
There you go. Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. I
She
could
did have,
move
like,
the camera inside of their skull, and I could see just the eyes and the mouth and the tongue like talking to me. It was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
But it was just like overlooked, like, because at some points I would try to get the camera there and it would just, the model would disappear, which is what you expect to happen. But sometimes I move the camera like right, like inside of their skull and just watch them like, like talk from inside. It was hilarious.
I never did that. I had issues with when you would go to modify the lightsaber on the ship and he would like look at it afterwards. The fucking tip of the lightsaber just goes straight through the ship. Like, how do you, it's such an odd thing, but like, how do you let that go by on such a critical like upgrade that a fucking lightsaber just goes straight through the ship and say like it doesn't? Yeah. Anyways.
The collision on the game is questionable sometimes. Not only like the characters, but like the walls and stuff. Like, there was definitely some clipping and some out of bounds stuff that happened and blah, blah, blah. So
yeah, I've definitely had a bunch of trampoline death animations is how I would say. In the sense of I would kill a mob and the mob would just jump up like 60 feet in the air. I could just watch it. Like a frog would jump that we were watching earlier. He would jump, land, and then just shoot straight up into the air like 60 fucking feet. And that happened all the time. We all played the PC version. PC version was fine. I think it's worth mentioning. I don't know if it still is, but I know that the like base Xbox and base PS4 versions of this game did not run well. I don't know if that stuff has been patched, but do your research on that because I think that they run pretty poorly. So just be careful about it. And some people also had issues on PC. So I think for us, it all ran like max resolution, max graphics, 100 plus FPS, but I do know a bunch of people that had issues. So just be careful and do some research for that. And
all I had to do was kill 2 ranged people. All I had to do was deflect their shots.
Oh,
and I would have beaten this area.
I died there as well, man. Yeah.
Man, I tell you. And what's even funnier is this section I had to run back through later. And this is one of the parts I was talking about. Like, come in, spawn the enemies. Dude runs down the stairs, boop, push him right up the side, run up to the other archer while holding block or just sprinting because that automatically deflects shots later.
Yeah.
Push that archer off, run over to the other guy while deflecting shots, push him off. And it's like, what the hell? Like, what the hell, man?
Yeah. Why'd you struggle on it when it got so much easier?
Yeah. Whew.
All right. Zeke, we've been kind of, are you sure? I just read your messages.
Well,
we've delayed it for so long. I do want to give it its time. That time might be next.
Well, you don't look for a VOD or anything. I'll just say like, AI the Somnium Files. I finished it, and I gotta say like it was fun. It was worth finishing, but it wasn't on the like the 999 level of like drawing stuff out, but it definitely had that same kind of feeling for me. Eventually, it was just like, okay, we're going to explain this thing that we've explained before again, and you can't skip it because it's on a new branch. So you like, there is like the same information, but said in a different way because you chose differently, but you're getting the same basic shit. So you're just like, okay, I'm skipping it like ish, but I don't want to miss like maybe little sentences in there that are new information and stuff. I like the kind of like twist-ish at the end, but it wasn't that unpredictable. There was a lot of things I called in the game, and I didn't feel like super genius level for calling it the way it happened. There were a couple of twists in there, a couple of things that were left unanswered that I was just like, wait a minute, they never really answered why this happened. And I went through everything, wondering if there's something I missed or whatever, but it was a solid game, visual novel wise. I stopped caring about any of the environments like a third of the way through. Like, as far as like when I started, I press on every little thing on the scene, like chair, a book, and that kind of stuff. It pissed me off that most of the shit was just like, it's a chair when you click on it. It's a book. Like, don't do that. Don't put superfluous shit in there. If you're going to make it interactable, don't make me press a button. I'll cursor over it, have it grayed out saying it's a chair. That's fine. If you want me to have that information, that's fine. But if you're just going to say it's a chair, you can fuck right off.
I can't wait for Death Stranding talk. That's my response to that. I know exactly what you're saying.
I mean, it was a good addition if you like those kind of games, the visual novel 999, the nunnery games, stuff like that. If you like games like that, it's a decent game in that kind of genre. And yes, there are very funny parts, but it got to a point where I was like, I have most of the information. I just want to get to the end, because the end of the branch is what has the new stuff for me. And you do a lot of backtracking is why you get the same information.
Sure.
Because you'll follow a branch all the way down, and then you'll go back up, finish this little thing, and go back up even further. Then you go back up to the very top and do a whole other side to the story, stuff like that. So cool. But it was fun. It was cool. I enjoyed it.
And you finished it 100%, like not 100%, but you're done with it. 100%?
I got all the endings.
Okay.
Yes, I got all the endings. Yep.
Cool. Yeah, we only got about 10 minutes because I know Ko has a hard out today. I think we'll discuss the Half-Life VR stuff next week because we'll actually know what the fuck it is, except for there's a new Half-Life game, and that's okay.
The only word that excites me about this is Valve is calling it their flagship VR title.
Yeah.
So if they were to release some kind of like hodgepodge crap together, like Half-Life cash cow kind of thing, I would be very surprised. Like, I'm really hoping this is going to be like an Asgard's Wrath kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where they're saying like, here's an actual VR game. Like, this is going to be more than just holding up guns and shooting, random things. Like 90% of VR, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So
I hope so. We'll find out tomorrow.
Optimistic. We'll see. Yeah.
Yeah. I think their thing is tomorrow at 10 PST or 10 a.m. Eastern, something like that. It's tomorrow, so we'll have all the information next week. And then I think 10 minutes on Path of Exile 2 might be a disservice to Path of Exile 2, but that's what they announced last week, so we'll use some time to talk about it. I'm curious on your thoughts on it, Ko, because I restreamed the whole thing, and I don't know if you did. So what?
I caught some of it. I lurked a little bit after the raid in your channel, and dude, everything looked so good. Like, Path of Exile 2 looks incredible. All I could think of during this is like, I can only imagine Diablo 4 devs watching it just being like, son of a bitch! like, come on, guys! It looked really great. The intro to ExileCon was, woo, something else. Like, more power to that Einhar guy, but man,
that was a little hard to watch.
That was a thing.
That was rough.
But yeah, the new league, the Metamorphosis League, build your own boss, seems really cool. I love to see them making more and additional changes to the end game. Sounds like some really great and fun stuff there. With the Conquerors of the Atlas update, which is also coming with 3.9. And then again, PoE 2, dude. I was expecting an engine upgrade. I was not expecting like a gigantic new section of the game. And you got to remember, like, I'm the guy that tries to tell people, when you go through the game first, listen to all the dialogue, absorb the story. Like, there's a lot of great stuff there. And knowing how much really good stuff is in PoE, like, and that all the stuff they've learned over the first 10 acts, to have them having them implement all of that in a brand new like section, I can't wait, dude. I'm very excited.
Yeah, I think we talked about it last week, or maybe Zeke was asking us, like, what do you expect for them to actually announce? And I think me and Ko both answered, like, I don't know, and it's hard to predict because GG always does stuff that you don't expect, and that's why it's a lot of fun to see what they're going to talk about. I could never have predicted that this was going to be a thing. I knew it was going to be exactly what Ko said. Knew it was going to be a new engine. Never. Couldn't have expected that they were going to launch 7 new acts that you could play through as a different game apart from the current 10 acts in the game.
It somehow synergizes with the first one.
Yeah,
Like, it's just all the things that were throwing out are just like, what the hell, man? This is awesome.
Yeah.
Like, how are you doing this?
19 new ascendancies, which is the effect. It's basically like 19 new classes in the game, subclasses in the game. And then the whole skill gem rework, which is kind of fucking insane. It'll make sense to you, Zeke, because I don't know if you saw it. They're removing gem slots away from gear. You no longer put your skill gems into the gear. It has its own panel now. And so effectively, I think you can have like, what is it? 4, 6 linked things now. And the gems themselves are what you're like fusing. Is it 9 6 links? Yeah. So like,
and see, the thing that's so crazy about that is they're of all the work they put into this game, in all the time and effort they put into balance and everything, it's so incredible to think that they would essentially be like, hey, all that work we've done, yeah, meaningless now. We're basically reinventing our game and like how powerful characters can be and the amount of available synergies and the amount of like, it's going to be insane. It's going to be like a different game. It's going to be awesome. And I can't wait to see what people come up to with this new system. Like,
yeah.
It's going to be nice.
It's going to be really interesting how they handle like what that game looks like at end game now, because it's already pretty insane with just like a single 6 link in the game and having like a core ability, but being able to have so many more options on one character, it really makes me think like, our build's just going to get like that much more well-rounded and ridiculous. Where you're going to have a skill for every single fucking encounter that you can possibly think of, or every single type of environment.
And what's wild to think about is there entire builds that can completely change based on just switching out a couple gems in the 6 link. And it's like sometimes the entire builds will become completely different just by subbing in some of those things out. And now we're going to have 8 more things like that. Like, it's mind blowing.
It really is.
It's almost a little concerning. Like it's kind of like, are you guys really gonna pull this off?
Yeah, like
how rough is the first few weeks gonna be?
What does the balance look like? You know, when this actually launches a year or so from now. Yeah, it's gonna be real crazy for sure.
It's gonna be interesting.
Yeah,
it's gonna be interesting.
And then they also announced PoE Mobile in probably the best way that you can announce PoE Mobile, and that was, we're trying to do this PoE Mobile thing, and we don't know if it's gonna work, but we're going to try and make it work. So hopefully you guys want to play that. And if not, that's cool. PoE is still going to be on the PC, and that's going to be our core focus. So we'll see how it goes. Thanks. Like, they approached that in the best possible way that you can. Yeah, with absolute humility. 100%.
Yep. And that is one of the reasons when they announced it, it's like, oh, cool. Okay, it's a side project you're working on. Like, great. More, instead of us being like, oh, God, PoE Mobile, I felt the urge to be like, good luck with PoE Mobile.
Cool, yeah. Good luck.
I hope it works out for you. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Also, by the way, just a kind of a shout out here. It was so cool. I don't remember the dude's name and who was on the stage, but after the PoE 2 trailer, there was a moment when the announcer, you could tell, was like almost holding back.
Oh, that was Chris. That was the guy that was on the show.
Yeah, Chris. Dude, that was so touching. Like, you could tell, like, he was just like, I can't believe. Like, it, oh man, it was so cool. That was Chris Wilson. Yeah, that was so great to see. That was so great.
It was really good. Also, Zeke, in the mobile video that they showed, one of the titles of the guy was Mobile Fall Guy. So that's how they approached it. Was like, here's our mobile fall guy.
Listen,
if it goes poorly.
It took me a second to get that joke because I was playing Death Stranding, so I was like, oh, of course his name is Mobile Fall Guy because he deals with falling or something like that.
That's the effect.
It took me
of
a second, and then I was, oh god, oh okay, now I get what you're saying.
So we plan to have Chris Wilson on Drop Frames in one way or the other. He was more than welcome to come on this week, but we had a bunch of stuff to talk about. So probably next week, and it might be kind of a side separate show. Because Zeke doesn't play Path of Exiles, so we could totally have him there, but I don't know if, one, he wants to be there, and two, if he'll add anything to the conversation that someone like Mathel or Zizaran or one of the other like PoE streamers would. So we'll Well, I gotta
I
figure
don't
out
mind.
exactly
I
how to
don't
do
mind
that.
subbing out.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll figure something out with that, and
We
I'll
can
let you
do
guys know.
the first 2 hours PoE talk with Ziz and Aaron and Chris, and then the last hour we bring in Zeke for the indie hour.
Yeah, something like that. We'll definitely figure it out. That's one of the things I need to schedule for. I need a little bit more time than like 4 days because they just got done with, I think, all their ExileCon stuff like last week, and all the streamers had to
Dude.
travel home.
Somebody in my chat just said, Cave Almond, Chris stayed at the venue, sitting outside in the rain until 2:30 to get everyone who wanted his autograph and moment of saying hi. He was literally the last person to leave the con. What a legend.
Yeah, that sounds like everything I've
Speaks
heard
a lot,
about Chris.
man. Speaks a lot.
Yeah.
Nice.
Cool. Well,
What
let's
a
do
bro.
some shout outs. We'll call it a show. Zeke, you want to start us off?
I would love to. Thank you all very much for tuning in today. My name is Ezekiel the Third. You can find me at or slash Ezekiel_I on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube. If you want to, or first of all, let me thank Co and JP, as I always do, or always try to, for being awesome co-hosts. Hold on. That came out. I got another one. I got a bigger one in there. Let me just. Oh! I got a hard out at 4 now. If you want to catch me, I'm actually going to be streaming after this. I've decided, since I saw like it on the Game Awards and all that kind of stuff, and I've been meaning to pick it up, and it's a relatively short game, apparently. I'm going to check out Sayonara Wild Hearts in about an hour. So if you want to come on over, and I'm not quite sure what it is. Is it maybe super anime? Apparently has good music, something like that. But yeah, it's like a 2 to 4 hour game, according to like how long to beat or whatever. So we can have a fun little afternoon stream, and then tomorrow at noon Pacific, I'm starting Devil May Cry 4. Well, I'm actually starting the day with a sponsored broadcast of Black Future 88, which is a new indie game, and then after that, we will begin Devil May Cry 4.
Awesome stuff. Yeah, I guess we'll get your thoughts on it. It's got good music. Go ahead, go do some shout outs. I don't know if it's a game, but there's not much game there. Go ahead, Co.
As always, big thank you to JP and Zeke. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you guys, as always, for watching. For anyone new, my name is Co. Tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. ET, I'm starting my second run ever of Divinity Original Sin 2. 3 characters we've never played with before, a magic party, which is nothing like my first, and more importantly, the only time I played DOS 2 was right when it came out. I had a bugged playthrough, and there's been over 2,000 fixes and enhancements since then. So hope to see you guys tomorrow morning. It's going to be a lot of fun. Then tomorrow afternoon, we're diving back into VLR Virtue's Last Reward, which is the second of the 999 games. It is already getting crazy. So yeah, hope to see you for that too. So anyway, thank you guys as always for watching. Hope to see you next week. And yeah, thanks for being here.
Did you see the Divinity board game that they already fucking
I did.
funded in like 4 hours or some nonsense? So yeah, that's a thing that exists.
Good for them, man. Good for them.
Yeah, congrats to them. What do I got coming up? Sunday, we're going to be doing Dan's Gaming, his 5v1 shot. Me and Zeke will be there. Gas Mexican and Adam will be the other players with Dan. Doing his first ever DMing. I believe that's at 6 p.m. Eastern on Sunday. And between now and then, I'm probably going to just continue, I guess, Divinity. As I've kind of that's been my fallback game, and there's not much else out coming this year. So I think I'm going to jump back into some of that immediately following the broadcast today. So if you want to watch some more Divinity, stick around and feel free to stop by the channel. That's that. I think we're good. And next week should just be another show. We'll let you guys know what's going on with Chris and getting him on the show and formulating some sort of PoE structured show with some other PoE streamers whenever we know more information. So,
by the way, JP, don't forget you have one more release this year that may really interest you. Phoenix Point.
Yeah, for some reason I drilled into my brain because I think you said that it was delayed, but then it's not actually delayed or something like that.
I was wrong.
Yeah.
For the record, last week I said that Phoenix Point was delayed, but I think there was some confusion because it got delayed to December, and then I think there was some confusion if it got delayed again. But it does look like it's coming out early December. That and then MechWarrior 5 like a couple days after. So,
jeez,
yeah,
and then
it'll be good.
And then PoE League on the 13th.
14th.
So, 14th. Yeah. No, 13th. 14th is Saturday.
13th.
Yeah, 13th. So, still a couple more games, but yeah. we'll play some more Divinity between now and then. And then eventually we got to talk about Death Stranding whenever Zeke finishes that. So a lot of stuff coming up here on Drop Frames. But we're done for today. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you guys next time. Have a great rest of your week. Bye.